I've got two more chances at you, this morning and next Sunday. And next Sunday may be anticlimactic. We may just watch videos or cartoons. We could watch cartoons. I think I'll pick out my best Big Bang Theory and keeping it real. About a month or two into my interim time here, I had plans to share a CD with you. Leonard Cohen singing Passing Through. I discovered this song on the Nitty Gritty Nerd Band album, that Mammoth album. And it was sung by this group actually on that you're going to hear. So to introduce my time today, keeping it real, I'll share with you Leonard Cohen, 1973 he wrote this. Many of you know who he was. He's older than me, older than my generation. But he spoke for a lot of the existentialist angst of a period, trying to come to terms with the postmodern world, the promises that didn't come through, the hopes that were smashed with whatever happened in the 50s and 60s. But anyway, Passing Through. Watch the video. That song and the cover art on our order of service this morning sort of speaks to what my theme this morning. I love that sculpture. I'm not sure where it's from. I should do a little bit more research for it. But if you look at that piece on the front of your order of service, it's a middle-aged pilgrim in the Middle Ages. His hat will have a shell, like the Shell sign from the gas station, which was the symbol of the pilgrim. It had a very functional purpose. It was a spoon, it was a cup. It served as the one possession that you took along on your trek. And you've got a walking stick and a simple robe, and you're moving from site to site, going on some holy mission. Your destination may be Rome, it might have been Jerusalem, it may be some sites where some miracles supposedly might have happened. And that's a symbol and an idea from a past era. I'm persuaded that we're really in a whole new, different age, of course informed and guided by the past, but new realities shape us. There are no pilgrims today, in their own silence, moving through the land, looking and observing, listening and watching, trying to find those internal rhythms and internal understandings that can give purpose to their life. They're acting out of a hunger to find a place to say yes, to find someone to say yes to, be it God, a teacher, or profound understanding. Keeping it real this morning, I want to speak to what I think we're really about. Being spiritual but not religious, in quotes. Being religious but not spiritual. Bill took a shot at that a few weeks ago. I want to this morning. That phrase can be the existentialist existence. Trying to understand why we are. Existentialist phrase for this last two generations. Oh, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. Oh, so you're a narcissistic libertarian. Okay. Cool. What do? Spirituality is about energy. It's about a power. It's an acknowledgement it's an awareness. That's it. It's an awareness that I am related. It comes from the basic word of spirit, which means breath, taking in the mystery and the ingredient required for life. If we do not have oxygen, if we do not breathe, we are not a living being. Spirit comes from that which gives us life, that which sustains life. And it can be ideas, it can be understandings, it can be ethical groundings. That's what spiritual is. Spiritual is an ongoing relationship we have with life that somehow keeps us grounded and centered, but also inspires us. Now, where does that sense come from? Where does it come from? We all enter a story. That story pre-exists. And we have a subplot in it. We move through our years adapting, responding, trying to understand our place, our purpose, trying to have joy, trying to fully appreciate that. Trying while to outgrow the past, to not forget it. If we're wise, we won't forget it, because it truly informs and guides and molds us into who we are. Spirituality is about spiritual matters of energy and meaning and power and relatedness, relationships. Religion is about the systems, the structures, the institutions, the organizations that sustain and pass on the stories, the understandings from one generation to the other. In America, in our secular world, we used to be more secular, but we talked about it. American education was the foundation for our national religion. I remember in philosophy and religion in college taking a course for teacher training, philosophy of religion. And I was just dumbfounded because the professor said the purpose of American religion is to inculcate in the next generation American values and morals. I thought it was meant to help you think, to discern, to understand. But he said it bold-faced. The role of American education is to relate one generation to the next generation, carrying on what that past has taught us. Well, maybe that's why we have problems with institutions. That's why the catchphrase today is anti-corporate. We don't want Washington to tell us anything. We don't want our bosses telling us anything. We don't want the community to tell us anything. So I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. I'm not giving any priest or guy with a white shirt on up front telling me what to do. That's not what it's about. In this new age, we're drawn into a hunger and a requirement and a need for spirituality maybe greater than any in our world, because the old forms are gone. The old religions don't apply much anymore. And if they do, they apply in a reactionary way. They're talking about the don'ts. They're making a woman less than a human being. They're looking at issues of race in a way that's not very inclusive. They look at economic power as something to be celebrated rather than be shared. The old religions are trying to hold on to what's past and trying to keep the faithful in the pew and keep the organization going. And they can squelch the spirit. They can kill the spirit. You folks in this room are survivors of that. You moved from that. You had that choice. But you chose to set out on your spiritual path to be in a community, to be in a religious organization that respected and honored your power, your privilege, your responsibility. It's a progression going back from ancient times. In the world, we organized ourselves around ideas of what was important and what was powerful. Gods of the sky, gods of the earth, gods between us, power that we could share. A church built on the idea of a simple man moving around the country in Palestine, speaking to the greatest aspirations and notions of the human heart, of love sustaining us in the dark times, of brother and sisterhood celebrating us and lifting us and blessing us. He didn't really talk about heaven. He really didn't talk about righteousness. He talked about human beings caring enough about one another to make life livable. A simple prospect. A simple requirement. Not with all the junk. Not with all the bells and whistles and smells. It's about you and I being in a relationship with life that sustains us, does not rape life, and makes life livable for all of us. And the interesting thing is, we have the technology. We have the wonders of our tools, which can make us anything we want. And we've got buffoons trying to run for president, speaking nonsense about this and that, not even talking to the issues, ready to go to war again to solve a problem that we in good measure had a lot to do in creating. So we as agents, I hope, of good and agents of possibility, see again that what really matters. Keeping it real is talking about those things that are vital, and that is you and I trying to understand one another better. You and I trying to get behind the headlines and the fright that's out there. Trying to look at the ways that we separate ourselves. To try to be sensitive to the fact that we are looking to life in a privileged position. Most of us in this room are white, and we're a half a mile ahead of everybody else that's not white. And we men are half a mile ahead of everybody else. Now that's real. So don't get into denial and playing around with it. Let's talk about that and move past that to see how we all can cooperate in being at the family table and being one people. Doak, you're crazy. It'll never work. It's bull. Okay, what's your hope? Where is your hope? You're going to do it by yourself? You're going to do it as a nuclear family? You're going to face this craziness, this alienation in our culture without a community that can say to you, come on in. You're crazy as hell, but I am too. Let's do this together. Let's look at the real. Let's not talk about sins made up to keep us on our knees. Let's talk about possibilities that can lift us and say, let's get out of the cold business. Let's find safe energy. Let's get out of the treatment business and looking at what's causing us to be so unhealthy. Let's say to our business communities, let's say to our corporations, let's say to our world, feed us good food. We'll take the hit. Let's let DuPont and Dow and the chemicals do what they can do best. Not poison us, but protect us and enrich us. It's a matter of will. And we have no God in the sky now. We have no Pope. We have no power on earth to say, let's do right. It's got to come up from the grassroots. It's got to come up from me and you to say, I will forgo that. I don't really need that. I've got enough of my stuff. Let's find out ways to bring justice to the whole. Let's say to everybody who's different and everybody that doesn't fit the prototype of normal, hey, you're a creation like me. Let's not be condescending. Let's not be demeaning. Let's just say, wow, how's it going with you? How is your world? Because in truth, we are little satellites bumping up in a solar system trying to make it work. Keeping it real. I'm not spiritual. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. I'm not very spiritual. I'm more religious than I'm spiritual. I find spirituality hard for me. It's hard to get in touch with what keeps me going. Because I'm aware that so much of what keeps me going is petty. I'm a resentful person. I'm a jealous person. I'm hard on myself. I'm a guilty person. It's hard for me to get past that and presume to even say anything to you that means anything. But I walk into the void and I say, well, I'll see if I can ask the honest questions. And if the folks respond, then I'm somewhere right. Because I will never be able to get in any pulpit anywhere and tell people what's what. I can't do that. I don't know that. And I'll warn you, anybody who presumes to do that, watch out. Because you're giving yourself over to something that maybe not be too good. Keeping it real is looking and embracing the world as it is, not as we want it. And say, how can we get from here to there? What are the teachings? What are the resources? What are the skills? We have the sciences. Do we have the will? And let's know that there is no protection for fear. The only way we overcome fear is not with better armaments and not with a better army, but with understanding and wisdom. Ah, that's hard stuff. How can you walk into hate? How can you walk into violence? Because it's happened generation after generation. We will kill, we will persecute, we will abuse the weak among us. Gandhi taught it. The Holocaust taught it. African Americans learned it. Native Americans learned it. The dominant class will oppress. It is for us, the dominant class, to look at our oppression and move from that. And if there be any healing, if there be any promise, if there be any hope, it will come from that. So I hope the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tampa will always keep it real. I hope you will keep it real in your life. And as we move together, we can make something better. And I've got to tell you in closing one weird thing. And if you don't think life is not funny, you don't know life. Okay, some of y'all early on, I hit on Dick Cheney a lot. He was my foil, so I'd pick on him, if I wanted a devil to be chick. I dreamed about Dick Cheney last night. This is the truth, and it's too weird, I got to tell you. And it's he and I'm moving to him, and he's got a three-piece suit on, brown, and he's smiling, and he's sticking out his hand, and we visit, and I like him. I'm getting chill bumps telling you guys this. And you think the Spirit does not talk to us. So Dick Cheney and I have reconciled, in my spirit anyway. It has been a joy being with you, and I'll hit on some things next Sunday. And thanks for tolerating me for 2 years. It's been a good trip. And it has been too real, and I really appreciate how well we've done with one another. And we'll visit a little bit more next Sunday.